beloved chosen one. What you are feeling right now is not random pressure, and it is not proof that heaven has forgotten your name. This moment has weight because it carries meaning. The resistance has been strong, the waiting has been long, and the questions have been louder in the night than they are during the day. Yet none of that means you are losing. It means you are being tested in a place where most people would have already surrendered their faith, lowered their expectations, and accepted a smaller life than the one God wrote over them before they were born. You are not in an ordinary season. You are in a sacred examination. God is watching how you carry yourself when nothing seems to move, how you speak when the door stays shut, how you think when the money is not there, and how you respond when the future feels delayed beyond what seems fair. There is a reason this trial feels personal. It is personal because your calling is personal. The attack always reveals the value of the assignment. The greater the purpose, the greater the preparation, the greater the anointing, the deeper the refining. You have asked God for increase, for open doors, for overflow, for stability, for the kind of breakthrough that changes not only your life, but the lives of those connected to you. Heaven heard every word, but before great increase is placed into your hands, your inner life must become strong enough to hold what your prayers have been asking for. Wealth without wisdom destroys people. Favor without discipline exposes people. Opportunity without spiritual maturity confuses people. So God, in His mercy, allows the test before the transfer. He allows the fire before the promotion. He allows the stretching before the expansion. That is why some things have felt delayed, not denied. Delayed. There is a holy difference. Denial closes the book. Delay develops the person. You may think you are waiting on money, but often money is waiting on the version of you who can manage it with peace, humility, and vision. You may think you are waiting on one phone call, one contract, one opportunity, one sudden reversal. But God is not only arranging events around you, He is building substance within you. He is teaching you to remain faithful when there is no applause. He is teaching you to stand steady when your emotions want to run ahead of your discernment. He is teaching you not to measure your life by appearances, because what He is preparing for you cannot be judged by what is visible today. You have been carrying burdens in silence, and some of those burdens have made you wonder whether you missed your moment. But listen carefully. A chosen life often passes through seasons that look empty to the outside world while heaven is doing its deepest work underneath. Seeds do not look powerful when they are buried. They look forgotten. Yet burial is often the beginning of multiplication. In the same way, this season may seem hidden, but hidden does not mean abandoned. Hidden can mean protected. Hidden can mean preserved. Hidden can mean that God refuses to expose what He is still strengthening. This is why you must not judge your future by your present discomfort. Pressure is not your final address. Lack is not your identity, delay is not your destiny. You have been tested in your patience, tested in your trust, tested in your character, and tested in your willingness to keep your heart clean when life has given you many reasons to become bitter. That matters more than you know. There are people who can make money but cannot keep peace. There are people who can reach influence but cannot carry integrity. There are people who can step into large rooms but shrink on the inside because their spirit was never prepared for the weight of what they entered. God is not raising you to become another fragile success story. He is building something durable in you, something steady, something clear, something that does not collapse the moment pressure returns. The breakthrough coming to your life is not meant to be a flash in the dark. It is meant to become a sustained testimony of what God can trust through a surrendered person. That is why this test has touched every layer of you. It has touched your confidence. It has touched your appetite. It has touched your sleep. It has touched the way you view time, the way you view yourself, and even the way you hear God. And still, you are here. Still, you are listening. Still, something deep in your spirit refuses to die. That is not human stubbornness alone. That is divine preservation. That is the mark of someone who has been held together by grace when logic says you should have fallen apart. You have cried, but you did not disappear. You have bent, but you did not break. You have been pressed, but something eternal in you has remained standing. That matters. Heaven sees that. This is also why you must be careful not to despise the season you are in. You do not have to enjoy it, but you must learn from it. Every painful delay carries instruction. Every closed door carries revelation. Every frustrating pause exposes something. It exposes who you become when your comfort is removed. It exposes what truly rules your heart. It exposes whether your faith depends on visible results or on the unchanging nature of God. This test is not only about whether you can survive hardship. It is about whether you can remain aligned while passing through it, because the breakthrough attached to your life will require more than excitement. It will require spiritual stability. It will require restraint. It will require discernment. It will require the kind of inner government that does not waste in one season what heaven built over many seasons. So do not call yourself unlucky. Do not call yourself forgotten. Do not say your life is going nowhere just because you cannot yet see the full design. God is not improvising with your future. He is intentional. He is exact. He knows what must leave your life, what must enter your life, and what must mature within your spirit before the next door opens. And when it opens, it will not be because you forced it with anxiety. It will be because the time matched the preparation. It will be because the trial completed its work. It will be because your roots grew deep enough to support the weight of the fruit. This is your moment to stand taller in your spirit, even if your circumstances have not changed yet. This is your moment to guard your mouth, guard your focus, and guard your expectation. Refuse to let temporary hardship teach you permanent unbelief. Refuse to let present pressure make you betray your future. You are being measured for more. You are being trained for overflow. You are being refined for a level of provision that will not only answer your needs, but confirm God's hand on your life in a way that cannot be denied. If this message confirms what your spirit has been sensing, comment 777 as your act of agreement and let it mark this moment in your heart. The trial is real, but it is not the end of your story. The God who tests you is also the God who rewards faithfulness. And what is coming after this will make sense of the tears, the silence, the pressure, and the waiting. You are closer than you think. Not because the pain was small, but because the process has been doing exactly what heaven intended. Your breakthrough is not lost. It is being prepared. And so are you. You have lived through moments that felt like the ground gave way beneath your feet without warning. One day you are holding hope, and the next day you are trying to understand why people you trusted suddenly become the source of your pain. That is one of the hardest parts of a chosen life. The wound does not always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the very circle that should have protected you. Sometimes the rejection is so sharp because it rises out of places that once felt familiar. And when that happens, you can begin to wonder whether the promise over your life was ever real at all. But this is where you need to see with spiritual clarity. Rejection does not cancel election. Betrayal does not erase destiny. Being cast down does not mean you have been cast off by God. This is where the story of Joseph begins to move beside your own in such a powerful way. Joseph was not a man who entered his purpose through ease. He entered it through misunderstanding, jealousy, and pain that came from those closest to him. He carried a glimpse of what God had spoken over his future. But the path between the promise and the fulfillment was darker than he could have imagined. His brothers did not celebrate what was on his life. They resented it. They did not protect him. They turned against him. The one marked for elevation was first pushed into humiliation. The one carrying a divine dream was thrown into a pit. That image matters because it reveals a truth many chosen people struggle to accept. Sometimes the first stage of a real calling does not look like advancement. It looks like being lowered into a place you never would have chosen. That may be exactly where your emotions have been living. In a pit of confusion and in a pit of silence, in a pit where you keep replaying what happened and asking why God allowed it. But the pit was not Joseph's ending, and this moment is not your ending either. The pit was ugly, but it was also temporary. It was a brutal transition point between what had been and what was coming next. Joseph could not see that while he was inside it. All he could see was loss. All he could feel was betrayal. All he could know in the natural was that the people around him had chosen cruelty over love. Yet even there, God's hand had not moved away from him. The promise looked buried, but it was not dead. That is something you must hold tightly right now. Just because your life does not look like the promise today does not mean the promise has failed. Sometimes it is moving underground. Sometimes it is being transferred through painful territory. Sometimes God allows the old environment to reject you because it cannot go where you are being taken. There are rooms that can only keep you small. There are relationships that can only understand the older version of you. There are systems that would suffocate the very thing heaven is trying to raise in your life. So when separation comes, it hurts deeply. But hidden within that pain is often protection. Joseph was hated for what he carried, yet what he carried was still real. The hatred around him could not revoke what God had spoken over him. You may be standing in a season where you feel sold out, overlooked, or treated as though your value can be negotiated by people who never truly saw you. Joseph knew that feeling. He was treated like an object by people who should have known his worth, and still, God was writing a future beyond their betrayal. This is why you cannot let other people's actions define your identity. They may mishandle you, but they do not name you. They may wound you, but they do not own your future. They may push you down for a season, but they cannot veto the hand of God over your life. What happened to Joseph was evil, but evil did not get the final word. It never does when God has marked a life for purpose. There is a holy endurance being formed in you right here. Not the endurance of someone who becomes cold and unreachable, but the endurance of someone who learns that divine purpose can survive human rejection. Joseph had to learn that the dream remained true even when his circumstances argued against it. You are being taught the same lesson now. Can you still believe when the evidence around you feels hostile? Can you still stay steady when the treatment you receive seems unfair? Can you still trust that God is at work when the chapter you are living through looks nothing like the promise that first stirred your heart? These are not small questions. They are the deep questions that shape a mature faith. This is why that ancient word still speaks with such force now. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. Joseph did not say the harm was imaginary. He did not pretend the betrayal did not wound him. He named it honestly. But he also recognized that God's intention was greater than the cruelty of man. That is the lens you are being invited to receive, not denial, not shallow optimism. True spiritual sight. The ability to say, this hurt me, but it will not define me. This wounded me, but it will not end me. This chapter broke my expectations, but it did not break God's design. And notice something else in Joseph's journey. The pit was not comfortable, but it exposed truth quickly. It revealed who his brothers were, and it revealed what kind of path Joseph was truly on. Some revelations only come in crisis. Some masks only fall when pressure enters the room. You may have learned painful truths recently about who stands with you and who only stands near you when there is convenience or personal benefit. That discovery can feel devastating, yet it is also clarifying. God will not let you build your next season on false loyalty. He will not let your future depend on people committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes He lets the fracture happen so you can stop leaning on what was never stable enough to carry your assignment. So do not mistake this painful season for abandonment. It may actually be the beginning of movement. Harsh movement, yes. Unwanted movement, yes. But movement all the same. Joseph had to leave one world before he could ever enter the place where his calling would mature. And in the same way, what feels like a tearing away in your life may be the first sign that God is no longer allowing you to remain where your destiny would be strangled. The pit is not pleasant, and the rejection is not light, but neither has the final authority over you. God still does. The dream still does. The hand that marked you still does. And what you cannot yet fully see, heaven already knows. This chapter is not the death of the promise. It is the beginning of the road that proves the promise was real all along. What makes this season so difficult is not only the weight of what you are carrying, but the silence surrounding it. There are seasons when the chosen one does not receive public confirmation, visible applause, or immediate proof that the struggle means anything at all. You keep showing up, keep praying, keep trying to stay clean in your thoughts, your choices, and your motives. Yet so much of your life feels hidden from human eyes. And this is where many people become discouraged, because they think obscurity means insignificance. But in the kingdom of God, hidden seasons are often the workshops of greatness. What is formed in secret is what later stands in strength when the light turns on. This is where Joseph's journey speaks directly to your spirit again. After the pit, his life did not suddenly become easy. The dream was still true, but the next chapter was not comfort. He was taken into a foreign place, removed from familiarity, removed from control, and placed in circumstances he never asked for. Yet even there, where his freedom was limited and his future looked uncertain, something powerful was being built inside him. Joseph was learning how to carry the presence of God in an environment that did not reflect the promise. He was learning discipline when life felt unfair. He was learning steadiness when everything around him had changed. He was learning that favor does not always look like ease. Sometimes favor looks like strength under pressure. Sometimes favor looks like wisdom in confinement. Sometimes favor looks like remaining whole in a place designed to strip you of identity. That may be exactly the lesson God is writing into you now. You are discovering whether your faith can survive outside the atmosphere of comfort. You are discovering whether your character remains intact when no reward appears to be coming. You are discovering whether you can stay honest, humble, and clear in spirit when life gives you every excuse to compromise. Those are not small matters. These are the deep measurements of the soul. Anyone can praise loudly when doors open quickly. Anyone can sound confident when provision is flowing and people are validating their progress. But when heaven grows quiet for a while, when your effort is not immediately rewarded, when you're carrying responsibility without recognition, then the truth of who you are begins to rise. Joseph was not only being moved through events, he was being prepared to hold weight. The future God had for him required more than talent and more than dreams. It required internal government. It required the ability to manage emotion, remain faithful in routine, and serve with excellence in conditions that felt beneath what had been promised. That is where many people fail their own preparation. They decide that because the environment is painful, their attitude no longer matters. They begin to move carelessly in hidden places. They allow bitterness to become their private language. They stop honoring God in small things because they are obsessed with larger outcomes. But the chosen one cannot afford that mistake. The hidden season is not empty time. It is examine time. God is watching what you become in the dark. You may feel that nobody sees your restraint, your discipline, or your silent obedience, but heaven sees all of it. Heaven sees the thoughts you refuse to entertain. Heaven sees the words you could have spoken but held back. Heaven sees the moments when exhaustion invited you to lower your standards, yet you chose to remain aligned. That matters more than you know. It matters. Character is not built in the spotlight. It is revealed there, but it is built in the unseen places. The dark room becomes the training ground for the public assignment. And if God intends to trust you with greater influence, greater provision, and greater reach, then your hidden life must become strong enough to support what your visible life will one day carry. This is why this season may feel slower than you expected. God is not merely trying to get blessings to you. He is shaping the kind of person who will not be ruined by the blessing once it arrives. Joseph had to become trustworthy before he could become elevated. He had to become disciplined before he could become powerful. He had to become stable before he could become prominent. And you are walking through that same kind of formation now. It may feel like delay, but in the spirit it is construction. It may feel like nothing is happening, but something essential is happening. Your roots are going deeper. Your discernment is getting sharper. Your motives are being purified. Your dependence on God is becoming more real than your dependence on visible outcomes. There is also something else happening in hidden places. Your identity is being separated from public opinion. This is one of the strongest forms of preparation. If you only know who you are when people affirm you, then criticism will control you and silence will unravel you. But when God teaches you who you are in private, you become harder to manipulate. You become harder to distract. You become less hungry for validation and more anchored in truth. Joseph could not depend on applause to tell him who he was. He had to carry an inner knowing that God was with him even when his surroundings did not reflect the promise. That same knowing is being formed in you now. It is quiet, but it is powerful. It is not dramatic, but it will hold you steady when larger doors begin to open. So do not despise the ordinary duties, the repetitive days, the unseen faithfulness, or the moments when you wonder whether anything important is developing. These are sacred places. These are the rooms where spiritual muscle is built. And when the time comes for greater responsibility, you will look back and realize that what felt hidden was actually holy preparation. What felt slow was actually mercy. What felt confining was actually protection from arriving too early. And as this word settles into your heart, let it become something you do not just listen to, but something you carry with you. If this message is strengthening your spirit, let your quiet support travel with it. You can like, share, and subscribe in a way that helps this kind of encouragement reach the person who is also standing in a hidden battle, trying not to lose hope. And for those who feel led to give more tangible support, There is also a way to donate through the description, helping this message continue to go where it is needed. Even that can become part of your obedience, because what lifts one weary soul today may become the word that keeps another from giving up tomorrow. So stay steady in the dark place. Stay honest there. Stay prayerful there. Stay soft before God there. Joseph's hidden years were not wasted years, and yours are not wasted either. The dream has not disappeared. It is being matched with character. The promise has not gone silent. It is being paired with capacity. And you, right now, are being shaped into someone who can carry what is coming without losing the heart that made you ready to receive it. As this hidden shaping continues, another kind of test begins to rise before you. And it is far more subtle than the pain of rejection or the ache of delay. It is the test of the counterfeit. This is the moment when the enemy stops trying only to wound you and starts trying to redirect you. When suffering does not break you, temptation will often come dressed as relief. When betrayal does not silence you, distraction will come dressed as opportunity. When waiting does not empty your faith, compromise will come dressed as a shortcut. This is why the chosen one must learn that not every open door is from God. Not every urgent invitation deserves a yes. And not every path that promises immediate comfort leads to lasting peace. Joseph had already survived the pit. He had already endured the tearing away from what was familiar. He had already learned how to carry himself in a place that did not reflect the dream God had placed in him. But then, another test appeared, and this one did not look like violence from the outside. It looked like private seduction. It looked like an invitation to step outside alignment in a moment no crowd would witness. This is where many destinies are delayed. Not because the promise was false, but because the private life became disconnected from the public calling. Joseph's next great battle was not with a visible enemy on a battlefield. It was with a hidden trap in a closed room. That matters for you right now because the enemy studies pressure points. He watches for exhaustion. He watches for loneliness. He watches for resentment. He watches for the moment you become tired of doing the right thing without visible reward. Then he offers something that appears to solve the discomfort quickly. Maybe it is attention that flatters your wounds. Maybe it is money that bypasses peace. Maybe it is an alliance that looks strategic but carries poison inside it. Maybe it is the urge to control the outcome because waiting on God feels too slow. Whatever form it takes, the principle is the same. The trap never introduces itself as destruction. It presents itself as relief. Joseph faced exactly that kind of moment. He was in a house where he had responsibility, where he had gained trust, where he had proven discipline, and then a temptation came directly to him. He could have justified a wrong move. He could have said life had already been unfair. He could have said he deserved some comfort after everything he had endured. He could have reasoned that one hidden decision would not cancel the larger plan. But chosen people must understand this. The greatest threats to destiny are often not the painful things done against you, but the quiet choices you make within you. Joseph recognized that the issue was bigger than a single moment. He understood that one compromise in secret could wound his relationship with God and distort the future he was being prepared to enter. That is why his response still carries so much power. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Genesis chapter 39, verse 9. Joseph did not answer temptation by asking how close he could get to the line. He answered by remembering who he belonged to. He did not negotiate with darkness. He did not sit down to study it. He did not tell himself he would manage the consequences later. He fled. There are moments in a chosen life when spiritual maturity looks less like debate and more like immediate departure. You do not need to prove your strength by standing near what is trying to poison your clarity. Sometimes wisdom is simply knowing when to leave the room. You may be in such a moment now, maybe not in the same form Joseph faced, but in a form designed especially for your current weakness. That is why discernment matters more than emotion. Some things feel good and still carry death inside them. Some things flatter your ego while draining your anointing. Some things make promises to your flesh while setting traps for your future. The enemy does not need to destroy you all at once if he can persuade you to drift one private yes at a time. He understands that corruption usually enters quietly before it becomes visible. So God is training you now to recognize the scent of what does not belong in your life, no matter how polished it appears on the surface. And here is what makes this test so difficult. Sometimes obedience costs you immediately. Joseph refused the trap, and his reward did not look like promotion in that moment. It looked like accusation. It looked like further suffering. It looked like being misunderstood again. That can shake the soul because it seems to suggest that doing right only makes life harder. But that is a lie you must not believe. Temporary injustice does not erase eternal alignment. Joseph's obedience may have cost him comfort in the short term, but it preserved his future in the long term. Had he chosen compromise, he might have gained a moment of false relief and lost the weightier thing God was building toward. This is the message pressing toward you now. Do not trade your next season for a present escape. Do not let weariness choose for you. Do not let loneliness interpret the voice of God. Do not let the urgency of your flesh overrule the wisdom being formed in your spirit. You are too close to allow a counterfeit to steal what trial has already been preparing you to receive. What has been built through tears should not be handed over to a moment of impatience. What has been purified through waiting should not be diluted by one secret agreement with what God never sent. So hold your ground with clean hands and a guarded heart. Let private obedience become your strength. Let discernment become sharper than desire. Let the fear of grieving God become greater than the fear of missing an opportunity. Joseph's life proves that the trap before breakthrough is real, but it also proves that refusal preserves destiny. The test is not here to shame you. It is here to reveal whether your spirit can recognize the difference between provision and temptation, between timing and haste, between an open door and a painted wall. The one who remains aligned in private is the one heaven can trust in public. And that trust is becoming more precious with every decision you make now. At the beginning of this part, there is one practical note for the listener who has been feeling mentally foggy, drained, unfocused, or stuck in a cycle where stress keeps blocking clarity. A product called the Genius Wave, also referred to by some as Genius Song, is presented as a short audio-based tool that aims to support focus, memory, calm, creativity, and clearer thinking through brainwave entrainment, using sound patterns linked in the product story to theta and gamma states. It is described as something simple to use for a few minutes a day, without complicated steps. And that may appeal to people who feel their mind is overloaded and need help slowing the noise so they can think more clearly again. If someone wants to explore it, they should check only the official information in the description or the pinned comment. Be careful with imitations, and use only the official source if they choose to try it. And now return with full attention to the deeper message. Because even when the mind is tired and the heart is stretched, the real opening in your life still comes through obedience. That is the lesson rising before you now. After rejection, after hidden preparation, after the trap of counterfeit relief, there comes a holy moment when quiet faithfulness begins to move doors no human hand could force. You have been taught not to rush. You have been taught not to compromise. You have been taught not to let private pain rewrite public destiny. And now you are beginning to see why. The next stage does not open through panic. It opens through alignment. Joseph's life shows this with unusual clarity. He did not claw his way upward by manipulation. He did not scheme his way into position. He did not become obsessed with proving himself before his time. He simply kept honoring God inside circumstances that made no natural sense. Even when injustice followed obedience, he did not turn inward and poison his own spirit. Even when false accusation pressed him into another dark place, he remained a man whose inner posture stayed clean before God. That matters more than many people realize. The chosen one is not only tested by suffering and temptation. The chosen one is tested by whether obedience remains intact when no immediate reward appears. This is where many hearts grow tired. You may be asking why steady obedience seems to take so long to bear visible fruit. You may be wondering why one faithful step does not instantly erase the consequences of what others did to you. But God's ways are deeper than your timeline. Obedience is not a lever to control heaven. It is the posture that keeps you in position when heaven decides the time is right to move. Joseph could not see all of that while living it. He was simply remaining faithful in one place after another, not knowing that each quiet act of integrity was building the bridge to a future no one around him could imagine. That is what is happening in your life too. The instruction may seem small. Stay honest, stay patient, stay watchful, keep your heart free from bitterness, refuse the shortcut, serve well where you are, guard your thought life, speak with restraint, pray when your feelings want to complain. These things can look unimpressive to the natural eye, yet they are often the very hinges on which destiny turns. The next door is rarely opened by noise. It is usually opened by accumulated obedience. One faithful decision, then another, and one day, what looked like an ordinary pattern of discipline is revealed to have been sacred positioning all along. Joseph's prison years reveal something many chosen people need to hear. Confinement did not stop purpose. Delay did not cancel favor. Lack of visibility did not mean lack of movement. God was still working, still arranging, still timing, still shaping, still connecting future events to present faithfulness. That means your current limitations are not final truth. They are temporary conditions under divine supervision. You may not be able to move the whole mountain today, but you can still obey today. You can still choose purity today. You can still choose trust today. You can still stay aligned today. And that is enough for this moment, because obedience in the present is how God guides you into what is next. There is something powerful about the person who keeps doing right without applause. That person becomes hard to corrupt. That person becomes spiritually dangerous to darkness. That person becomes trustworthy in the eyes of heaven. Joseph did not know when the turning point would come, but when it came, he was ready because obedience had kept him ready. That is the hidden gift of this season. You are not only waiting for a breakthrough, you are becoming prepared for sudden movement when it appears. Some people pray for open doors, but if the door opened today, they would not yet have the wisdom to walk through it well. God knows that, so He uses obedience to mature your feet before He widens your path. This is why you must not despise the small instruction. A delayed answer does not make the instruction less holy. In fact, small acts of obedience often hold massive future weight. Joseph interpreted dreams, served faithfully, remained discerning, and honored God in places where no palace was visible. Yet those very acts became threads in the tapestry of his elevation. In the same way, What you do in obscurity now may be linked to an answer that appears later with astonishing precision. Nothing surrendered to God is wasted. No obedient step disappears. No hidden faithfulness is forgotten. And there is another truth you need to hear with strength in your spirit. Obedience protects peace. When you move ahead of God, even apparent success can feel restless. When you stay with God, even the waiting carries a deeper steadiness. The chosen one learns to value that steadiness. Not all the world celebrates speed, but heaven often celebrates surrender. The world says force the result. Heaven says become the kind of vessel who can carry the result. The world says make something happen now. Heaven says remain aligned and trust that what is yours will not pass you by. So breathe again and steady your heart. You do not need to invent your breakthrough. You do not need to manipulate your way into your appointed season. You do not need to betray your principles to prove that you are serious. Joseph's life stands as a witness that obedience opens hidden doors. Not always quickly, not always dramatically at first, but surely, clean hands still matter. A guarded heart still matters. Quiet faithfulness still matters. And the God who has watched you obey in places of pain is not blind to what has been building. What you call slow may actually be precise. What you call delay may actually be timing. What you call confinement may actually be the last corridor before the door begins to open. Stay aligned. Stay willing. Stay obedient. The hand of God moves with a wisdom greater than haste, and when your next door opens, you will know that it was not forced by fear. It was opened by the one who saw your faithfulness the entire time. What feels like confinement in your life right now may actually be the place where your capacity is being enlarged. That is one of the hardest truths for the chosen one to accept, because when you are inside a restricted season, everything in you wants release before understanding. You want movement before meaning. You want escape before instruction. You want the door to open now because the pressure of limitation can make every day feel longer than it really is. But God does some of His deepest work in spaces where your options are reduced. Your distractions are stripped away, and your soul can no longer hide from what must be strengthened within you. This is not pleasant work, but it is holy work. And if you let it, this season will build in you a weight carrying strength that easier seasons never could. Joseph knew this kind of shaping in a way few people ever do. After refusing compromise, he did not step into immediate reward. He entered prison, and that detail matters, because it reveals a pattern that many chosen people live through but rarely understand while it is happening. Sometimes obedience is followed by deeper confinement before visible elevation. Sometimes doing the right thing makes life look harder before it looks clearer. Sometimes the path of integrity leads through an even narrower place. That can confuse the heart if you are expecting instant results. But God's ways are never as shallow as immediate appearances. Prison was not proof that Joseph had fallen out of favor. It was proof that his story was still under divine control. Even when circumstances became tighter and darker than before, this may describe your own experience more than you want to admit. You obeyed, yet things still tightened. You stayed clean in your motives, yet the answer still delayed. You tried to honor God, yet life did not suddenly become easy. And now you are left carrying a question that aches inside you. Why would God allow more restriction after faithfulness? Why would the road become narrower after surrender? But Joseph's life gives you an answer. Because prison was not only a place of waiting, it was a place of enlargement. It was the place where wisdom deepened, discernment sharpened, humility settled, and dependence on God became even more real. Joseph was being made ready for a level of responsibility that could not be sustained by dreams alone. He needed depth, he needed patience, He needed the kind of inner steadiness that only difficult places can produce. That is what God is producing in you now. Capacity, not just desire for more, but the ability to hold more without collapsing under the weight of it. Many people ask for increase, but few are willing to be stretched for it. Many want the crown, but resist the training that strengthens the neck to carry it. Many want abundance, influence, and visible breakthrough, but they do not understand that heaven prepares the container before pouring out the oil. You are being stretched because what is coming is heavier than what you have carried before. And if God did not enlarge you now, the very answer you prayed for could crush you later. In confinement, hidden weaknesses surface. In silence, motives become visible. In delay, your relationship with control is exposed. Prison seasons show you whether your peace depends on freedom, whether your identity depends on progress, and whether your faith can still breathe when your timeline is broken. Joseph had to live through all of that. He had to become a man who did not need immediate proof in order to remain faithful. He had to become a man whose gift still functioned in limitation, whose spirit still stayed open to God in hardship, and whose sense of purpose did not die just because the environment looked unjust. That is not small growth, that is the formation of true spiritual maturity. And as this message reaches you, let it do more than pass through your ears. Let it settle into the places where weariness has tried to weaken your resolve. If it is helping you hold on, you can quietly like, share, and subscribe so this kind of encouragement continues to reach people who are also walking through narrow seasons and trying to understand what God is doing. And for those who want to support this work more directly, there is also a donation option in the description. Sometimes your support becomes part of how another weary heart receives the exact word it needed at the exact moment it was about to give up. Return now to the deeper truth, because this is where your spirit must stay anchored. Joseph's prison was not empty. Even there, his gift kept making room for him. Even there, he kept serving. Even there, he kept listening. Even there, he kept becoming. That is the mystery of chosen seasons. The place that looks like it is holding you back may actually be the place where heaven is quietly moving your future into position. You think you are trapped, but God is training. You think you are stalled, but God is strengthening. You think you are forgotten, but God is enlarging your capacity in ways that will matter later when doors open fast and responsibilities grow heavy. So do not curse the place that is teaching you endurance. Do not despise the season that is teaching you depth. Do not assume that restriction means rejection. The prison did not erase Joseph's destiny. It refined it. It stripped away everything unnecessary and left him with something stronger than ambition. It left him with tested character, sharpened discernment, and a reliance on God that no public success could fake. That is what this season is building in you. Not a shallow testimony, but a deep one. Not borrowed strength, but formed strength. Not noisy confidence, but grounded authority. One day you will look back and understand that this narrow season was not an interruption to your calling. It was part of the construction of it. The walls that now feel close around you are not permanent. But while you are here, let them teach you what open spaces never could. Let them teach patience. Let them teach surrender. Let them teach clarity. Let them teach you how to hear God without external noise. Joseph's prison built the capacity that his palace would require. And in the same way, the place that now feels smallest may be preparing you for the largest assignment of your life. Stay yielded. Stay steady. Stay open. Capacity is being formed in the dark, and when the time comes, you will discover that this hard place did not weaken you. It widened you within. There comes a moment in the journey of the chosen one when what has been hidden begins to move toward visibility. It does not happen by accident, and it does not happen because human beings suddenly become fair. It happens because God decides that the season of quiet preparation has reached its appointed threshold. This is where Joseph's story becomes especially powerful for you. Because after the pit, after the false accusations, after the prison, there came a day when the same life that looked buried was suddenly called forward. That is how divine timing often works. For a long season, almost nothing seems to change on the outside. Then, in what feels like one swift turn, the hand of God begins to bring the prepared one into view. You need to hear that deeply right now. Your process has not been meaningless. Your tears have not been wasted. Your hidden obedience has not vanished into silence. There is a divine pattern in this. God often allows the vessel to be formed in obscurity before placing it where others can see what he has done. The world tends to celebrate sudden success, but heaven understands prepared elevation. Joseph did not become ready when Pharaoh called for him. He was already ready because the prison had been teaching him long before the palace ever appeared. That is why your current season matters so much. When the moment of movement comes, you will not have time to become in 1 hour what God intended to build in you over years. Readiness is formed before recognition arrives. Joseph's transition did not begin with revenge. It did not begin with self-promotion. It began with purpose. He was summoned because there was a problem no ordinary wisdom could solve. That, too, is part of the pattern. When God raises the chosen one, it is not merely to satisfy ego or silence critics. It is to answer a need, to serve a larger design, to bring divine wisdom into human crisis. Joseph stood before power not as a desperate man begging for acceptance, but as someone who had been trained to carry insight under pressure. The years of confinement had not emptied him. They had refined what was inside him, and when the hour came, what had been formed in secret became visible in public strength. This is why you must not rush your own unveiling. Many people want to be seen before they are rooted. They want to be celebrated before they are purified. They want public honor without private formation. But that path is dangerous. Joseph could stand in a place of influence because he had already learned humility in humiliation, discipline in service, and trust in uncertainty. When his moment came, he did not have to invent wisdom. He had been living close to God for too long to stand empty in the decisive hour. In the same way, what God is preparing in you now is not just a blessing for your own relief. It is a response to future moments where others will need what God has built inside you. That is also why vindication must be understood correctly. Vindication is not merely people admitting they were wrong about you. It is God establishing you in such a way that the truth becomes obvious without your striving to prove it. Joseph did not chase his brothers to make a speech about his pain. He did not spend his strength on rehearsing his rejection before those who rejected him. God positioned him so powerfully that the life itself became the evidence. That is a word for you. You do not need to exhaust yourself trying to force people to see what they refused to honor in an earlier season. When God establishes you, the result will speak with a clarity that argument never could. The scripture captures this reversal with striking beauty. Until the time came to fulfill his dreams, the Lord tested Joseph's character. Psalm chapter 105, verse 19. That line reveals everything. There was a set time, there was testing, there was character formation, and there was fulfillment. Joseph's story was not random suffering, it was timed preparation. Your story is not random either. There is a time attached to what God has spoken over your life. There is testing attached to it as well. And there is a fulfillment that does not depend on the approval of those who misunderstood you. What makes this stage so astonishing is that the same people who once dismissed you may become witnesses to what God has done. This is not because God enjoys humiliating others, but because truth has a way of rising into view. The one who was underestimated becomes the one carrying the answer. The one who was pushed aside becomes the one standing in authority. The one whose tears were hidden becomes the one whose testimony cannot be hidden anymore. Joseph's life reveals that divine favor is stronger than human opinion. Human beings can delay, wound, accuse, or reject, but they cannot finally overturn what God has appointed. You may feel closer to that turning point than you realize, not because everything around you looks bright already, but because the work inside you has become deeper. You are less ruled by panic than before. You are more discerning than before. You are more careful with your spirit than before. You have learned what not to touch, what not to chase, what not to become. That is not small progress. That is evidence that preparation has been doing its work. The palace comes into view not only when circumstances shift, but when the person has become able to carry the shift. And when that change begins, you must remember what brought you there. It was not vanity. It was not comparison. It was not bitterness. It was the hand of God meeting a prepared heart. Joseph's rise was not a random stroke of luck. It was the unveiling of a life that had endured testing without letting the test corrupt the core. That is the kind of establishment that lasts. It is not fragile because it is not built on appearance. It is anchored in the deep places where God formed strength before anyone else could see it. So stand steady in this threshold season. Do not let impatience make you careless now. You have come too far in the refining to lose clarity at the edge of movement. The pit was real. The prison was real. The loneliness was real. But so is the turning point. So is the vindication. So is the hour when God brings into public view what he has been shaping in secret. Joseph's life stands before you as a witness that hidden faithfulness can lead to visible establishment. And when your season turns, it will not simply be a personal relief. It will be a revelation that God never lost sight of you, not for one moment, through any part of the process. By the time Joseph stood in a place of authority, his life had already taught him something many people never truly learn. Wealth without purpose becomes waste. Increase without wisdom becomes danger. Provision without assignment becomes another form of emptiness. This is why your coming breakthrough cannot be understood as money alone. Yes, God may release resources. Yes, doors may open in ways that change your material condition. Yes, the season ahead may carry the kind of overflow that answers years of pressure. But if you think the promise ends with comfort, you are seeing only a small part of what God is doing. The greater vision is that wealth in your life becomes a tool in the hand of purpose. Joseph did not rise merely to enjoy a palace. He rose to preserve lives. He rose to steward revelation in a way that would prepare for famine before it arrived. He rose to become a vessel through which provision could flow when others had none. That is what made his elevation so weighty. It was not empty promotion. It was purposeful placement. He was not lifted only for himself. He was lifted because nations would be touched by what God placed in his hands. This is the spiritual maturity now being formed in you. God is teaching you to desire increase, not as a badge of personal worth, but as something that can serve, protect, build, restore, and bless. That changes the way you think about your own breakthrough. Instead of asking only how your life will become easier, You begin asking what your life will be able to carry, instead of seeing wealth as proof that you finally escaped hardship. You begin seeing it as responsibility with holy weight attached to it. Joseph had to learn administration, restraint, planning, and discernment because abundance without stewardship would have failed the assignment. The same is true for you. The blessing coming toward your life is not meant to inflate your ego. It is meant to enlarge your usefulness. The chosen one is often given more not to worship more, but to distribute more wisely. Not to impress more people, but to answer more need. Not to build a throne of vanity, but to become a channel of provision. This is why God has been dealing with your heart so carefully. He knows what money can reveal. He knows what power can distort in a person who has not been purified. He knows how quickly increase can become an idol if the soul is still hungry for human validation. That is why the process has been deeper than finances. It has been about motives. It has been about stewardship before possession. It has been about whether your heart can stay surrendered while your hands begin to hold more. Joseph's life shows what it looks like when wealth is placed inside a man whose character has already passed through fire. He was not perfected, but he was prepared. He understood that what he carried belonged to a larger plan than his own comfort. There is a scripture that frames this truth with beautiful clarity. And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 4, verse 19. Notice the center of that promise. God's provision is never detached from God's glory. He meets needs, yes, but he does so in a way that reflects his nature, his wisdom, and his purposes. Joseph became an image of that principle in action. Provision flowed through him, but it was tied to discernment, timing, and responsibility. It was not random abundance, it was ordered abundance. That is the kind of blessing that lasts. You may have spent years asking God simply to bring you out of survival mode, and there is nothing wrong with that cry. The pressure has been real, the needs have been real, the exhaustion has been real. But as your season begins to turn, heaven is widening your vision. God is not only bringing you out, he is bringing you into a posture where what reaches you does not stop with you. This is how legacy begins. This is how families shift. This is how one person's obedience becomes another person's rescue. Joseph's wisdom in one season became provision for multitudes in another. That is the scale of purpose God can attach to a surrendered life. So let this settle into your spirit. The millionaire breakthrough you are praying for is not holy simply because it is large. It becomes holy when it is aligned. It becomes holy when what enters your hands still bows before God's will. It becomes holy when generosity, discernment, and stewardship rise alongside increase. Some people think the highest dream is to never need anything again. But the kingdom vision is greater than that. The higher dream is to become so aligned that your life carries enough to meet needs, fund purpose, relieve burdens, and reveal the goodness of God in tangible ways. Joseph could have used his position to build a monument to himself. Instead, his life became a storehouse in a time of famine. That image should remain with you. God may be preparing you to become a storehouse kind of person, not merely someone with resources, but someone through whom relief can travel. Someone whose wisdom protects what others would waste. Someone whose discipline preserves what others would consume too quickly. Someone whose heart stays soft even after years of pain. That is why the testing had to come first. Because God does not only bless what shines, he blesses what can be trusted. And this is the place where your spirit must answer with maturity. Are you willing to receive increase as assignment? Are you willing to let your breakthrough carry responsibility? Are you willing to become the kind of vessel that does not just celebrate abundance but manages it with reverence? That is the invitation before you. If your heart agrees, comment "God, use me." Let that be your quiet declaration that the blessing you seek is not just for display but for purpose. Joseph's life proves that wealth in God's hands is never merely about possession. It is about preservation, provision, and purpose. The same God who led him from the pit to the palace also taught him why the palace mattered. And now that same lesson is reaching for you. Your breakthrough is coming with meaning attached to it. Your increase is coming with weight attached to it. Your next season is not merely about finally having more. It is about becoming more useful to the will of God than you have ever been before. That is why the process has been so exact. Heaven is not preparing you only to receive. Heaven is preparing you to carry. By the time Joseph stood face to face with the brothers connected to his deepest wounds, the greatest battle in his life was no longer survival. It was response. That is where the final test often waits for the chosen one. Not in the pit, not in the prison, not even in the season of lack. The final test comes when you finally have the power to answer pain from a place of strength. It comes when you are no longer the one beneath, but the one above. It comes when you could repay, expose, shame, or wound in return, and heaven watches to see what kind of spirit your suffering has produced. This is where many people reveal that they survived hardship without being transformed by it. But Joseph reveals something greater. He shows what it means to come through years of betrayal and still remain aligned with God. That is why this part of the story matters so much for you. A breakthrough is not only proven by what enters your hands, it is also proven by what no longer rules your heart. If pain still governs you, then increase will only amplify unresolved bitterness. If old wounds still command your reactions, then elevation may give you more reach but not more peace. Joseph had every human reason to harden himself. He had every reason to let memory become a weapon. He had every reason to make his brothers feel what he had once felt. Yet when the decisive moment arrived, what rose out of him was not vengeance. It was discernment, restraint, and eventually mercy. That tells you something profound. The process had not only changed his circumstances, it had changed him. This is the kind of maturity God has been building in you through every stage of this journey. The rejection exposed your pain. The hidden years exposed your character. The counterfeit exposed your discernment. The prison exposed your endurance. The palace exposed your stewardship. And now the final test exposes your heart. What will you do with the memory of what hurt you once God gives you room to breathe again? What will you do with the faces attached to your sorrow once you no longer need anything from them? What will you do with your voice once it carries authority? These are sacred questions, because God is not only interested in delivering you from the past, He is interested in proving that the past no longer has permission to define your spirit. Joseph did not respond carelessly. He did not act as though betrayal had not happened. His wisdom was deeper than that. He tested, observed, and discerned what was before him. This matters, because mercy is not foolishness. Forgiveness is not blindness. Spiritual maturity does not mean pretending evil was good. It means refusing to become evil because evil once touched your life. Joseph could see clearly, and still he chose a path that remained under God's hand. That is the invitation before you now. Not to deny the wound, but to release the right to let the wound become your ruler. Not to erase memory, but to let memory bow before God's larger purpose. There is a line in Scripture that captures the beauty of this transformation. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32. That is not weak language. That is kingdom strength. Tender-hearted does not mean fragile. It means strong enough to remain open after pain. Forgiving does not mean the past was harmless. It means the future will not be chained to the past forever. Joseph's life became a living image of that truth. He had power, but power did not corrupt his heart. He had authority, but authority did not turn him cruel. He had the chance to repay, but instead he chose a response shaped by the fear of God. You may be closer to this test than you realize. Sometimes it does not come through a dramatic reunion. Sometimes it comes through a memory that returns when your life finally begins to improve. Sometimes it comes through hearing about people who once dismissed you. Sometimes it comes through an opportunity to speak against those who wounded you when you know your words would carry weight. In those moments, heaven is looking for evidence that your healing is becoming real. Not perfect, but real. Can you stand in your new place without needing revenge to complete the story? Can you let God be so sufficient in your vindication that you no longer need to punish everyone who misunderstood you? This is not easy. It may be one of the hardest things God asks of a wounded heart, but it is also one of the clearest signs that you are truly ready for what is next. Bitterness shrinks the soul. Mercy enlarges it. Resentment keeps your inner world tied to people who no longer deserve that access. Forgiveness does not excuse their actions, but it frees your spirit from carrying their shadow into every new room. Joseph's tears show that healing can still ache. His wisdom shows that boundaries and discernment still matter. But his mercy shows that he was no longer living as a prisoner of what had been done to him. That is what God wants for you. Not forced language, not shallow pretending, and not spiritual performance. Real freedom. The kind of freedom that can remember the pain without becoming it. The kind of freedom that can stand in blessing without becoming proud. The kind of freedom that can look back and say that what was meant for destruction did not succeed in turning your heart to stone. This final test is holy because it reveals whether success has become a place where grace can still live in you. Joseph's story reaches its deepest beauty here, because the man who once cried in a pit now stands as a source of life for others. The man who was once stripped becomes the man who now covers. The man once betrayed becomes the man who refuses to let betrayal write the final sentence. That is not natural strength. That is the evidence of God's hand on a life that has truly passed through fire. So let this truth settle over you with quiet power. Your breakthrough is not only about arrival, it is about response. It is about what kind of person stands on the other side of the trial. And as your season continues to turn, may your heart remain soft, your discernment remain sharp, and your spirit remain clean before God. Because when the final test comes, the greatest victory will not simply be that you rose. It will be that you rose without becoming what hurt you. Now you stand at the edge of the season everything has been preparing you for. The trial has not been small. The waiting has not been easy. The hidden years have not been gentle on your heart. And yet here you are, still standing, still listening, still carrying that quiet flame inside you that refused to die even when the night felt too long. That is not an accident. That is not luck. That is not mere human endurance. That is the evidence of God's hand upon your life, the same God who watched you in the pit, who kept you in the dark place, who guarded you when the counterfeit came near, who strengthened you in the prison, and who purified your heart when you finally had the power to answer pain with mercy, is now bringing you into an appointed season. What felt delayed is beginning to turn into divine acceleration. Joseph's story has walked beside you through this message for a reason. His life proves that God never wastes a trial when that trial is surrendered back to Him. What looked like loss became positioning. What looked like confinement became preparation. What looked like injustice became the road toward public purpose. And what looked like an ending became the beginning of a larger assignment than Joseph could have understood at the start. That is the truth settling over your own life now. The story has never only been about survival. It has been about formation. It has been about becoming the kind of person who can carry the next season without losing your soul inside it. So as you step into this threshold moment, do not return to fear. Do not let the memory of struggle train you to expect disappointment forever. Do not keep speaking the language of lack when heaven is teaching you the language of readiness. There is a difference between remembering what God brought you through and remaining mentally trapped inside old chapters. You are not called to live as though the pit is still your address. You are not called to think like a prisoner when God has been preparing you for stewardship. You are not called to carry the posture of rejection into the place of appointment. The old season taught you many things, but it must not become the lens through which you misread the new one. This is the hour to let hope mature into expectation. Not shallow fantasy, not reckless ambition, but holy expectation. The kind that says God has brought me too far to abandon His work now. The kind that says what He formed in secret will not remain hidden forever. The kind that says the same hand that preserved me under pressure can also trust me with increase. This is where your spirit must come into agreement with what heaven has been building. You are not merely recovering from hardship. You are rising with understanding. You are stepping forward with cleaner motives, sharper discernment, deeper peace, and a humbler awareness that whatever comes next must still belong to God. And right here, let prayer rise naturally from that awareness. Father, thank you for carrying this listener through every season they thought might break them. Thank you for every unseen rescue, every closed door that protected them, every delay that matured them, and every lesson that kept them from becoming what wounded them. Strengthen them now for the season ahead. Heal the places still tender. Quiet every voice of fear, shame, and unbelief. Remove every counterfeit path and establish their steps in wisdom. Let peace govern their heart. Let clarity return to their mind. Let their hands be trusted with what you are sending. Let provision come with purpose. Let increase come with humility. Let favor come with integrity. And let this next season reveal that you were faithful in every chapter, even the ones they did not understand at the time. Cover them, guide them, and keep their spirit soft before you. In every blessing, keep them surrendered. In every open door, keep them discerning. And in every victory, keep them grateful. Amen. Hold that prayer close, because it is not only a closing thought, it is a posture for the days ahead. Joseph entered his appointed season carrying lessons that pain had taught him, but he also entered with a heart that still recognized God as the source. That is what will keep you steady too. The breakthrough must never become bigger than the one who sent it. The blessing must never silence the prayer life that carried you through the trial. The open door must never replace the obedience that positioned you for it. Stay low before God even as He raises you in life. Stay thankful. Stay watchful. Stay clean in spirit. That is how increase remains a testimony instead of becoming a trap. And as this message comes to its close, let it continue traveling beyond this moment. If it has spoken to your spirit, you can gently support its path by liking, sharing, and subscribing, helping this word reach those who are standing in their own trial and needing strength not to give up before their season turns. And for those who feel led to support more directly, There is also a donation option in the description, which helps continue this kind of encouragement for others who may be one word away from finding hope again. So lift your head now, not in pride, but in confidence rooted in God. The process has not been wasted. The tears have not been wasted. The obedience has not been wasted. Joseph's life has shown you that the chosen one can be tested, delayed, misjudged, and pressed, and still arrive in the place prepared by God. The same truth is now speaking over you. Your season is changing, or your spirit has been trained. Your heart has been refined. And what comes next will not merely show that you survived. It will show that God was shaping something unshakable in you all along.